Since the dawn of time, man has dreamed of mastering flight. In the early 1900s, man-powered flight became a reality. Spurred by the Wright brothers' flight at Kitty Hawk, a new era had begun. The age of aviation was not limited to stretching the limits of the airplane, but also developing new aircraft that could conform to the needs of people. One major issue with the airplanes of the early 1900s was that they were unable to perform passenger flights. Realizing the need to transport passengers quickly and efficiently, the German engineer Ferdinand von Zeppelin developed the Zeppelin. The Zeppelin was a blimp-like, rigid-framed aircraft that used hydrogen to create lift. Hydrogen was used due to its light weight and commonality. In the early 1900s, using the Zeppelin as a means to transport passengers, DLOG, the world's first airline, was born. The popularity of the Zeppelin grew quickly. In fact, the Empire State Building was initially built with a Zeppelin landing on top. Since very few accidents had occurred and the business was highly prosperous, it seemed as if the Zeppelin would forever be the way passengers were transported. This would all change with the final flight of the Hindenburg. Piloted by Captain Max Pruss, the Hindenburg was the largest aircraft ever created. Funded by the Nazi regime, it was named after former German President Paul Ludwig Hans Anton von Berkendorf und von Hindenburg to create a greater sense of nationalism among the German people. The following footage is actually from the final flight of the Hindenburg on May 6, 1937.
The ill-fated Hindenburg on her last flight sails over New York. The airship was hailed by thousands who little dreamed it was their final glimpse of the Hindenburg. Again she dumps ballast, and a nervous tension grips those who are watching, for this is something unusual.
The back motors of the ship are just holding it just enough to keep it from... It bursts into flames. Get it started, get it started. It's crashing. It's crashing terrible. Oh my, get out of the way, please. It's bursting into flames and it's falling on the mooring mast and all the folks between it. This is terrible. This is one of the worst catastrophes in the world. Oh, it's like 400 or 500 feet into the sky, and it's a terrific crash, ladies and gentlemen. The smoke and the flames now, and the flame is crashing to the ground, not quite to the mooring mast. All the humanity and all the passengers screaming around it. I told you, I can't talk to people. There's friends around there. I can't talk, ladies and gentlemen. Honest, it's just laying down massive smoking wreckage. And everybody can't hardly breathe and talk and screaming. Lady, I'm sorry. Honestly, I can hardly breathe. I'm going to step inside where I cannot see it. Charlie, that's terrible. Listen, folks, I'm going to have to stop for a minute because I've lost the voice. This is the worst thing I've ever witnessed.
The blazing aftermath reveals the extent of the disaster, an inferno which became a flaming tomb. A twisted mass of girders, the seared and scorched skeleton of what was once a mighty airship.
The tragedy of the Hindenburg forever changed aviation. The greatness and sheer size is depicted in Hans Liedtke's modernistic painting, The Hindenburg Flies Over the Opening Ceremony. This picture is still reproduced today as a representation of the Hindenburg. The background music I used in this video is Smoke in Your Eyes by Paul Whiteman and his orchestra.